Hey gents, this is Clean Kaiba and the Gentleman here. I wanted to talk about the Ultimate Time Wizard giant card event that happened over this past weekend at the North America WCQ. As you'll see on the screen right now, this is the an old screenshot of the FAQ of the Time Wizard giant card event that was going to be occurring for three formats. It was going to be they used one called the April 2014 Forbidden Limited list, which would use that would be called the April 2014 format, but it would be using the last legal set was around with the light structure deck. So it's basically the July North America WCQ event format. And then they also had the March 2000 FNL list called the April 2010 list, which is basically Edison. And then obviously the one down here, which is the April 2005 list, which would be the July 2005 format, which was GOAT. So the one we're really concerned about here is Hat. To my not 100% sure how the GOAT one went, but the Edison one was a Time Wizard event, but the Hat, which was advertised, as a Time Wizard event, not a time travel event, ended up being a time travel event. So what that basically means, and they give a little snippet up here, is basically uses the current mechanics and card text, but older card pools. Whereas Time Wizard would use the mechanics and text of that time period, which is what players generally prefer because they like to be able to play the format as close as to what it was as much as possible. So that was kind of a huge bummer for a lot of players that found out that changed. And then if I go and bring up the FAQ right now, you'll see this is what it is now. So I'm not sure when this changed, but it obviously happened before the event at some point, and people did not catch on and notice. But it said that now instead of saying the April 2014 limited list, it's now saying the July 2014 limited list, and this would be called the July 2014 Time Wizard event versus where it was the April list and the April 2014 event. So that was kind of strange. Still has the same last legal set, so that's good. And it still says that it's a Time Wizard event, but that is not what ended up happening. It ended up being a time travel event. So players were not allowed to draw for turn. Cards like Effect Veiler now lasted till the end of the turn instead of end of phase. SEGOC was not used, but no one really knows what it is anyways. I can make a whole video about that, but most people that play Hat probably don't even play using that anyways because it's a very confusing way to build chains with trigger effects. It means simultaneous effects go on chain. But yeah, no one really knows how that works. I know pretty well because I played back then. But it's overall, I don't think it makes a big difference whether you use it or don't use it. So anyways, back to this. Yeah, that was a huge bummer for players. I had friends that were partaking in the event, and they were very bummed because, for example, one was playing a frog deck, and now Treeborn Frog, is a hard once per turn. Just summon back from the graves. You can't go, Treeborn, enemy controller, Treeborn. Swap Frog is now, you can only gain the effect once per turn, so you can't bounce it to your hand more than once. So that was a huge damper on his strategy that he assumed, going in that we'd be using the card effects and mechanics of the time. So that was a bummer. Gear players obviously coming in that were playing pure Gear wanted to use 3 gear, but since we're now using the July list, which I have that right here with the changes. Oops. We just lost it. All right, here it is. Is that Gear went from 3 to 1. The other changes aren't so substantial to make huge difference. Goyo comes back from banned to 1. That's kind of cool. I'm not sure what decks would really take advantage of that and still be relevant. Formula, Magician of Faith, and Rhoda from 1 to 2. Rhoda to 2 is kind of cool. Kind of helps out my Noble Knights, but that's about it that I can think of immediately. And then Dimensional Prison, Mirror Force go from 2 to 3, which is not much of a huge difference. Maybe it helps out like the little bit more slower decks like Prophecy / Spellbooks, Bujin, even Gear a little bit. But again, losing the 3 to 1 Gear is a pretty huge hit. For Gear players who are coming in assuming that they're going to be using the April list and then finding out that they are actually now using the July list. Because you did have to submit a deck list for this, so I'm not sure exactly how the Time Wizard 2014 events were ran. Just for like the 8-man brackets. I assume people were just playing it, as a Time Wizard event with the April list, since you didn't have to submit a deck list. So, and most people there, are just there to have a good time. Anyways, no one's gonna be like, oh, you can't use 3 gear. It says online otherwise. No way to really track that. So, I thought that was strange that they did a time travel event instead. And if you click this link, it'll bring you to the Time Wizard Attack of the Giant card, not Time Travel Attack of the Giant card. So that was kind of a bummer. That again, they advertised Time Wizard and did Time Travel. Another big thing, I don't have a picture of it, but the Exciton Knight, Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, he was the giant card that was advertised for the July 2014 format, and they ended up being Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed is banned in that format, so it doesn't really have any value or memorabilia to the format. So it would have been really sweet for it to be Exciton. I don't know who ended up winning and taking it home, but or Pot of Greed, I should say, but I'm sure they probably wanted the Exciton instead. So that's basically the biggest thing. Is I heard about this. I didn't partake in that event, but I heard about it from friends who did, and I was really bummed to hear about that. So I sent an email to Konami, just ask why was that? It was advertised as a Time Wizard. It was advertised with the April list, and at some point it changed. And yes, I don't know. So anyways, this is the list of their emails that you can email. I would suggest using it. Says for questions about organized play, contact us at us-opsupport@konami.com. So send them an email. Be very polite, but just ask them, hey, why did this happen? Especially if you're a player who partook in this event and was kind of blindsided by the change, or if you're just someone who wants to play in hat format, at future regionals, YCSs, or future WCQs, and you want to be able to play, playing the April list, but still like the July format, and I'm not really sure why, because I know this has been a problem in the past where I wanted to play hat format at a YCS or something, but they would only do it under the July list, and I wanted to play Gear, and I was like, well, that's kind of a bummer because that's not how the format was played. It was played with draw for turn. It was played with 3 gear. It was played with only 1 field spell at a time. And as cool as time travel is as a format, which is it's seen some success on Master Duel. Master Duel players also don't have any other choice. Like that's the only thing that was offered to them is you can play the time travel format or not. It's like there was not like you can also play a Time Wizard event on Master Duel. That was never offered. So I can understand for at least from a Master Duel spect that that's something a whole bunch of stuff they'd have to code, and that would just be a lot more work than is really needed. So and also for me, I just prefer to play card games in person. Anyways, especially older formats. So the Master Duel Time Wizard never really or time travel never really appealed to me. But it is cool that it is an option for players who maybe don't have access to to other nearby players or locals that offer those events to play with. But yeah, that was pretty much all I really had. I just wanted to go over that, and if you were there and we're super bummed about that, this is kind of me just kind of summing that up for you. If you feel like if there's anything I missed, feel free to add. But yeah, I would say just make your voices heard. Email Konami and and let them know, because I would like to play Hat in the future, but I would also like it to be more faithful to how it was played at the 2014 North America WCQ. So yeah, that's just me. Sweet guys. Clean kind of gentleman signing out.